Okay, we're gonna try this. You ready?
Yeah, trying it.
I'm gonna try it. All right, so welcome back, you guys. It has been a long time since Nate and I have done a video, but we were on a road trip to go see our kids. You can get us some light. I got a face light. We're on a road trip to go see our kids, and we just figured what an opportune time. We're in a truck together, enjoying a lot of time and conversation. And it's the end of the year. We're getting ready for Christmas in a couple of days.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's time for us to just kind of bring you guys up to speed and answer questions and maybe have a conversation. So the last time we did videos, I asked you questions. Do you have questions you'd want to ask me? And I'll put you on the spot while you're driving through St. Louis.
What do you want for Christmas?
What do I want for Christmas? Time with you and our girls and our puppy.
And a warm pool.
And a warm pool, which
As
you've
far as I
been,
know, the pool works.
well, you've been sweet. You've been working with me on helping get that done, and that's very awesome. So, okay, other questions.
Other questions? Can't think of any other questions.
Okay. I think of updates we should give everybody, kind of like end of year stuff. This has been an interesting year for us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't really talked about it on our channel much, but you know, God's taken us through changing what we do for a living, changing our businesses, and going through the experience of what we thought was losing everything, and then seeing God treat it like a phoenix and bring it into something more beautiful than it was before, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of the things we've been praying for over the last, what,
Sorry.
10, 15, 20 years,
Mm.
and maybe even more so as we really started to take on bigger endeavors outside of outside of the state we lived in, and the kids getting to be in their 20s,
Yeah.
and that timeline that God told us about when we were supposed to raise our kids came to an end.
Yeah.
That there's all this really interesting timing things that have happened. I mean,
Yeah.
it's very similar to what happened when we, decided we were going to have kids and we could have kids, and then the life that we were doing when we were doing that. And we
Right.
tried to make it work. It's always funny. It's like God blesses us with something and we try to make it work within the thing that we're doing, and it doesn't really 100% work. So God shuts it down to where we don't do that thing anymore whatsoever,
Right.
to go to the next phase. And so there was a phase of life that was us getting married, and then there was a phase of us doing the things we were doing with touring and music groups and conferences and flying all over the country and driving all over the country and doing stuff
Right.
for that. And that was a cool time. And then when we had kids, there was these opportunities for our kids to be raised at home and know some of the grandparents and parents and other family members. And when you're touring all the time, you don't get to hang out with all those people and you don't get to know them.
Right.
So we made a decision then that it was like the most important phase of that time of life was to raise the kids, and so that they would have probably a better childhood than we did.
I agree. It was
And
intentional.
it wasn't really, it's not like it was a bad childhood that we had.
No.
But I'm just saying it was like being around more family and doing things like that. And also being business owners, entrepreneurs, we didn't necessarily just go work for other people. Well,
Right.
That was part of it, but
Well, and I would say our childhoods individually were very different from one to the other.
Yeah.
And we wanted to build a cohesive one that you and I had a vision for our kids.
Yeah. And raise them in the way that Jesus would have us do it. The way that God was telling us to raise our kids, and so that they knew people, that they knew about God, and knew Yeshua, and they knew how that was all going to work.
I love it when you say it that way.
I know, because it's actually kind of his name. His name is actually Emmanuel and Yeshua, not necessarily Jesus. So, yeah. So anyway, this last 5 or 6 years, we got into the 2020s. Obviously, COVID, but whatever. That's that was kind of the end of that timeline cycle
Mm.
because we knew it was a 20-year commitment, and it's not like it actually, ended in 20 years, but it was the commitment to raise kids into their 20s, and now
I,
the kids are in their 20s, and
yeah.
God's like lining up a new shift of things.
Well, there's a different kind of parenting. So parenting never ends.
Yeah,
It's just instead of an active parenting where you're wiping noses and changing diapers and fixing every meal and chauffeuring everything. Now they're independent, functioning human beings on their own, making their own decisions, living in another state. Now your parenting just changes. So our lives are now ready to change
yeah,
as well.
yeah. So that's the next phase, and I
Yeah.
think all the business that we had been doing, businesses and projects and work and life, and all the people that we were a part of along the way through that has now all begun to shift
Right.
and become different.
Right.
And
I think better.
yeah, well, I think part of it is that there's aspects to things that God calls you to do, and there's a season for those things to be
Right.
doing them. And it doesn't really mean that it was worse or better, or that those people sucked and now
Well, I
we're going to
didn't
go
mean it by
find
that.
cool people.
Yeah, I guess I didn't.
It doesn't mean any of that. It just means that
Yeah.
these seasons have changed.
It
and
could be
that's what-
taken that way. I guess, yeah. For me,
Yeah.
I feel like every change, every season that we go into, things get better.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my perspective. It's not that it was stupid or awful.
Yeah.
It was just that, you have a wisdom about you and an appreciation and a different perspective that makes it more fruitful.
Yeah, well,
Right.
yeah, exactly. And I think us having been, like, I think when we came together, as more of an entrepreneur kind of gypsy spirit, and you were kind of more entrepreneur gypsy spirit, but at the same time, that gypsy spirit was probably more prevalent because you'd had more experience traveling and going places and doing things, and that was what you like really thrived on.
I would say
And I
I
think
was
we
more.
still thrive on that.
I would say I was more gypsy than entrepreneur.
Yeah,
The
that's
more
what I
I
mean.
look at it,
Yeah.
I think you're more entrepreneur than gypsy.
Yeah.
And
But I think those two things,
they mix.
when they come together, and the lives of the people that have that expectation of the world, like most entrepreneurs want to become the biggest business in town, and that's going to be awesome.
Mm.
And and you see a lot of businesses in town that where great grandpa or even dad created this business and made it really awesome and then passed it off to his kids, and then everybody just stays in that town
Right.
for generations. And I think that's not what I was called to.
No.
And so I feel like God's always been laying out this phase and that phase and the next phase and putting things together, and it requires that we had to get away from. And I think God blessed the heck out of the 20 years that we were doing our businesses in the Colorado area and around
Right.
the family and all that kind of stuff. Like, we did really well and didn't have to complain about a whole lot of anything. Although we did. I mean, that's life. You complain about stuff. But that's part of the learning too.
Yeah.
And learning not to complain. In fact, that we actually had tons of resources and still do. But
Seeing the glass half full, not empty.
yeah, and realizing what's actually going on. And so now it's pretty cool because that chapter, phase, season, whatever you want to call it, is now coming to a close and an end, where we literally closed the business and moved out of a warehouse area that we were in, which
In
is
our
still up
office.
for lease, by the way. So if anybody wants to lease it, no, I'm just kidding.
Well,
It's still up for lease.
we want to bless the landlord. Yes.
Yeah.
He's
So
very
yeah, it's
blessed.
unfortunate that he doesn't have any fulfilling it, but that's
Sorry.
kind of the way the world is right at the moment. In
Right.
the Colorado market, there's not a lot of people building massive businesses and trying to find
Right.
spaces. And the space that we were in was pretty cool. It was
Mhm.
this commercial industrial warehouse area behind two houses, which was
It was
kinda
pretty
fun.
secluded. I liked the
Yeah.
secludedness of it. You didn't.
Kept you kind of invisible, which was
I
cool.
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
But
love
anyway.
my privacy. But yeah, no, I agree with you. God has combined non-entrepreneurial and the gypsy spirit for us and for our family with an intention. And, I think that there are generations that are the generations that do the pioneering, and then there's generations that nurture and fortify what's been pioneered. And then there's generations that start wondering what else is there. And then you end up with the generation that pioneers again.
Yeah.
And I think that for us, we're a pioneering generation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was raised in a family, all sides, that were a lot about tradition and, you know, holidays. Christmas is one, right? You don't change Christmas, you don't change Thanksgiving. And the other one was you don't go away, you stay close. That was really my grandma Basher. She did a lot of the conversations about rooting in and nesting in and being a consistent place where everybody can be able to kind of reset and recalibrate all the time. And I take a lot of that though with my gypsy spirit and go, okay, well, I can do that anywhere. And that's what we're getting to do now is to morph those traditions and those family expectations and programming into the next phase of how to function as a family.
Yeah.
Not hyper located into one location, but
yeah,
but still a family that's tightly knit.
Yeah, there's an old-fashioned thing that says home for the holidays, and that is a thing. And what does that mean? If you think about it, then to go home for the holidays meant that you don't necessarily live in that area,
right?
You know? And right now, we don't really live in that area. We do, and we don't, and we're getting eventually moved away to the places that God's calling us to be. And, you know, we feel like going into 2025, that's Florida, Central Florida area.
But Mercedes is moving to Texas.
Yeah,
this is coming year.
Yeah, she's going to be going into Texas, Dallas area because of
school.
So it's school. You know, it's not like a permanent relocate, but sometimes those kinds of things happen.
That
you
can happen.
end up rooting there for a while. But who knows? I mean, so I think there's a lot of cool changes that are happening, a lot of cool excitements, and I think that's going to be the next step is setting down business establishments in different areas and really seeing how that plays out.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and home for the holidays for what our family looks forward in the future could be that the quote unquote home could be wherever we all decide to gather.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I want to be, and I don't even really feel like I'm being called to be rooted into a specific area.
That's very hard for me, but I'm learning.
Yeah, but I think it's just because of this particular season. Is that a 3 to 5 to 10 year thing? I don't know.
Right.
Is it a 1 year thing? I don't know. Is it just a season we're going through now between now and whenever all of a sudden something shocks?
Right.
Probably. Because
it would be very easy for me if we get to be blessed enough to get the property and things we've discussed in like the Florida area.
Yeah.
To be okay with rooting there and then having auxiliary places.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Yeah, so as we're talking to you, sorry, I've had a cold for 3 weeks now. But and it's almost gone. We are actually driving through St. Louis.
Yeah.
City.
It is southwest of St. Louis.
And the arch is like right over there.
Straight that way.
Is it now? I thought it was over there. All I knew is I saw it and then it went away. So, but yeah, so that is the update on kind of ish on what we're doing. We're following God's lead and excited to see what he does in 2025. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah. So I think for that, you know, that's our update for you guys for now, but probably turn this video off and then reset, drink some water and record another one because, you know, that's how we work.
Yeah.
But.
And there's the arch right there.
Yeah, you want me to show them the arch?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to show you the arch. Ready? Okay. We'll see if it pokes over the top of this. It's kind of over the edge next to the building. It's like, show them the arch. We're here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's like really right there between those buildings.
Wheel.
Yeah. Yeah. So But with that being said, you know, we wish you guys a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yeah.
And we look forward to continuing to talk with you guys on the next time around and sharing our lives with you. I'll get you some more images of this arch here, and then we'll see you on the next one. Here comes the next. See if we can catch it real good for you. Oh yeah, I forgot about this St. Louis Aquarium.
I know, it's so cool.
Definitely need to come back here and
Yeah,
mess
there's
about.
some pretty cool stuff in St. Louis.
Yeah. Well, we worked here a lot when we were first married,
Yeah.
and when Maddie was a baby. Didn't really come back after Sadie was tiny. But yeah, we're coming around. I think on Nate's side we'll get to see the arch really good. But I like coming through here this time of the day because you can see everything. In the evenings it's pretty, but you don't get to see it as clearly. All right, where is it? There's the stadium, St. Louis Cardinals. It's a cool stadium.
Busch Stadium.
Yeah.
And then the arch is like
I know, the
right
arch is gonna
behind
be-
there, under all this industrial roadway.
Yeah,
August.
let's see.
Right
It'll be right there. Yeah, there's the arch, reaching across me.
And then it'll pop up on the other side of the road right here.
I can see it, but not the top.
There it is.
Yeah, right there it is. Nate says there it is, and yet there it's not. I could.
There it is right there. There it is.
There she be. It's like half the arch because of the bridge.
End of it.
Ta-da!
In half a mile,
Whoop.
keep left to continue on I-55 North, I-64 East.
Okay, well, the GPS is bossing us around, so we'll let you guys go. See you guys in the next one.